Ready?
But that's the easy way out, and a good way out.
Good morning. I'd like to call the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee Tuesday, November 17th to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Anyone signed in for public comment related to the agenda this morning?
No, Madam Chair.
All right. Before you, you have the approval of the minutes from the October 20th meeting. Hopefully you've had a minute to look those over. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor, approval of the minutes, say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved from the October 20th, 2015 meeting. We have several items referred to the committee today. Our presentation at the end will go to our next committee due to Mr. Glassburn is sick this morning, so he will not be able to be here. And we wish you a speedy recovery. If you could read the first item into the record.
Resolution 2015-0205, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Gary Shamus to serve on the Cuyahoga County Audit Committee for the term 1/1/2016 through 1/1/2021.
All right, before you, you have a proposed substitute that has language that is included since issue 9 passed, yay. So this is for Mr. Shamus. We recently had Mr. Shamus before us not too long ago to fill in the term, the remainder of the term to December 31st. So this would be his appointment from January 2016 to 2021. And this proposed substitute includes the new language from our charter amendment. So can I have a motion to approve the proposed substitute?
Motion to approve the substitute.
All right, we have a first and a second already. All in favor to approve the proposed substitute, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Is there any questions or anything in regards to the substitute? Hearing none, I'll make a yes.
It changes the length of the term from 5 years to 3, is that correct, or 4?
Well, it will include his going forward from 16 to 21, but it also includes the new language that was just passed on issue 9, changing the audit committee. That was our charter amendment that we had on the ballot this November. So there was a change in language in regards to who was sitting on that committee.
It just looked like the term length was short from 21 to 19. Okay.
Mr. King?
Just to speak to that, Michael King, council staff, the term length actually does go to the end of 2019. The language in the charter was actually changed, and this was really to, this was more of a minor amendment meant to clarify the term lengths of the individual members. Currently, as it's drafted, it says that the terms of the members of the audit committee serves until 1 and 2 years after the end of the then county executive term expires, which is a little unclear. It's a little ambiguous. So what the charter amendment did was it created staggered 4-year terms. So all of the terms are set 4 years. So since this appointment is happening now, and it would commence on January 1st of 2016, it would expire December 31st, 2019, rather than January 1st, 2021. So that's one of the reasons for the change.
All right. Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to move this as proposed substitute to the committee of the whole. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. It has been approved. Thank you. Can you read in the second item for the record, please?
Resolution 2015-0224, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan.
All right. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Albert Bushahine with the Personnel Review Commission. Madam Chairwoman, members of council, the Personnel Review Commission is requesting your consideration for modifications to the county's non-bargaining classification plan. The changes were necessitated due to operational needs and changes in essential functions to the 5 classifications before you that are requiring revision and the 2 newly created classifications. The changes were prepared by the PRC class and comp staff who worked extensively with the Department of Human Resources and Department Management to ensure they're fully informed of the proposed changes before you. In accordance with the PRC rules, the proposed changes were posted on the PRC's website for 20 days. The PRC considered and approved recommending these changes to you at their October 7th, 2015 meeting. Thank you for your consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, opening up to the committee, any questions? Mr. Buchanan, I have one. I noticed there was an email in regards to, there's more of these coming, correct?
Correct. We, last Friday, we posted additional modifications to include some deletions of which are the airport classifications we discussed previously.
Okay, but I thought it was a longer list. I saw your email that went to HR in regards to putting them in order of need.
Correct. Those are, what you're referring to, Chairwoman, is the request to changes to the class plan that come from the Department of Human Resources. We are working together with HR to prioritize those requests.
Okay, so these are in priority currently.
These before you today are unrelated actually to those. These have been in process since September 4th.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilman Miller?
do these changes have any impact on the employment status or compensation of any existing county employees?
We don't anticipate any reduction in staffing due to these changes. There are a couple of these classifications that we're revising that are actually going up in pay grade due to the added essential functions of the positions.
Thank you. Anything else? Councilwoman Brown?
Madam Chair, thank you. I see there are 2 new classifications to follow up with Councilman Miller. With the new classifications, are these positions already in existence?
The environmental compliance coordinator, Councilwoman, is a result of a position audit that went through the Department of Human Resources. There is somebody currently performing those duties. The web design supervisor is vacant. The department is requesting the creation, because they want to reorganize the department and add a supervisory position to supervise the web designers. There currently there's no one in between web designers and the administrator, so they want to add another layer of management.
Okay, all right. And again, just for clarification, this will not, how will this affect the budget? Has this position been budgeted for, or?
We don't get into the budget, Councilwoman. What happens at this point, if they want to fill this classification, they have their own internal process through HR where they request, I think it's called a hiring request form.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, and Mr. Buchanan, the web designs from IT, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Any further questions? Councilman Miller?
Madam Chair, the ones that result in upgrades in pay grade levels, how much additional money will this cost us in compensation on an annual basis?
Councilman, per the county policy and procedures manual, that analysis is yet to be done. That will be done by the Department of Human Resources once these classifications, if they become effective. They will do a review of the employee's salary and make a recommendation as to what salary they'll be placed at. That recommendation will be by HR.
The positions the classifications that involve changes in pay grade, how many employees potentially could be affected by those changes?
The appraisal manager, commercial and industrial, there's only one person at the county. That person, that change was necessitated due to the change in the Ohio Revised Code that requires every county to designate a project manager. So there's only one individual in that position. The budget management analyst, excuse me. I don't have an exact number. I'll be happy to get back to you on that, but it's certainly less than 10.
So those are the only two that are so affected, is that correct?
Those are the only two that are getting an increase in pay grade, yes.
Understood. Okay.
And what about the Exhibit F? From change pay grade, I'm sorry, the web designer 2. It says change pay grade from 10B to 11B.
That's just moving it, Councilwoman, from Schedule A. I'm sorry, which one were you referring to?
Exhibit F, which is the class title, web designer 2.
I don't believe there's a change in pay grade for that one. That one is a change made to the essential functions, not the pay grade of that position.
Okay, on this document I have before me, it says changed pay grade from 10B to 11B. So looking at my list, I have 3 appraisal manager, changed pay grade, budget management analyst, as well as the web designer 2. Are all having a change in pay grades.
Madam Chair, I stand corrected. You are correct. That pay grade is going from a pay grade 10 to a pay grade 11. My understanding is there is only one individual in that classification as well.
Councilman Germana.
So each pay grade has a range of salaries. What's the range on each, what's the range on pay grades?
Well, I don't have the specific salary schedule in front of me, and I will email you when I get back with that. I can tell you that the salaries have 17 steps, and there's a 40% spread from step 1 to step 17. Again, I don't have the salary schedule in front of me, but I'll be happy to email that to you as soon as we get back.
Okay, well, just so I can understand, so then, let's just take any one of these. So, Public Works and Medical Examiner's Office is a pay grade 6. So in that pay grade, there could be a 40% range.
Theoretically, yes, if somebody's at step 1 and somebody's at step 17, theoretically it is possible, yes.
And the steps are done by these, this 40% plus to minus 10%. So by grading, they take steps, or is it time?
Councilman, step placement is determined at the time of hire by the Department of Human Resources, and as a result of position audits, if the pay grade of a position is changed. Currently, and I'm not, correct me if this isn't what you're referring to, but are you referring to step movement?
Yes.
Currently, there is no mechanism for step movement. That is part of the recommendations that we intend to make with respect to the pay equity study. But there is currently no mechanism to move along the range.
So whoever fills this, say, this pay grade 6 here, wherever they're put in the steps, they stay there. And there's not a mechanism to change, say, they're in step 8, pay grade 6, step 8. There's no mechanism to change them to a higher step?
Councilman, currently, no. It is our intent to make recommendations where we may make systemic overall changes, not only to the pay philosophy, but to the classification plan in general and the compensation plan. But to answer your question, currently, no. With respect to this specific classification, the Senior Records Management Officer, there are currently 2 employees already in that classification whose salaries will not be affected by this change.
So if, just so I understand, if someone goes into this job at pay grade 6, step 1, because they're brand new, and after a year, 2, 3 years, they know their job and they're doing it fantastic, where they started is what they're getting paid. They're not gonna move. They'd have to go up a different pay grade, which would be a different job, but they can't move along the steps currently.
That is correct.
So we need to work on that. Definitely. Okay, thank you.
I believe currently there's several jobs that are like that, correct?
Currently, at the county, in general, there is no mechanism to move along the steps. That is a priority for the Personnel Review Commission, as we will be proposing changes and modifications to the pay philosophy and compensation plan. But that is certainly not only on our radar, but a top priority.
Councilman Miller.
Is there any need for an expedited passage on this item?
No, Councilman, no need. Normal process is fine.
Okay, fine.
All right, any other further questions in regards to these classifications? Hearing none, can I have a motion to move this to the full council? Second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Say aye.
Aye.
Move to second reading.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Miller.
I just want to say thanks to the Personnel Review Commission for doing the analysis, for holding the hearings and giving us some good information in this technical area.
All right, next item on the agenda.
Ordinance 2015-0010, amending sections 113.01, 301.02, 303.01, and 303.04 of the Cuyahoga County Code and enacting section 303.07 of the Cuyahoga County Code to establish procedures by which the Personnel Review Commission adopts its administrative rules and to make various changes to the County Civil Service Code.
All right, and so we want to have, so we have the proposed substitute before us. We want to have a motion to move the proposed substitute so we can work from that document. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor
Wait,
say.
hold on. Before we adopt the substitute, can somebody explain how the substitute differs from the existing version?
Okay, Councilman.
Madam Chair, members of council, Charles Hannon, I'm with the prosecutor's office, appearing on behalf of the Personnel Review Commission. You may recall we last were before this committee on October 20th, 2015. At that time, we had a proposed ordinance before the committee, although there had been some last-minute proposed modifications that it was necessary for us to take back to the Personnel Review Commission to obtain approval. Since that time, we met with the commissioners and proposed two minor changes to the ordinance that had been submitted earlier, and the changes are as follows. You may recall that under Section 1, the proposed enactment of Section 113.02I originally contained a provision for a 45-day review period that was extendable. And it was sort of loosely written, I would say, and when we appeared before this committee in October, there seemed to be an emerging consensus that it would be preferable to have a 60-day review period that is not subject to extension. So the first change that we made to the ordinance was to replace that 45 extendable period to a not to exceed 60-day review period. The second change that was made was in Section 4 of the ordinance that contained proposed modifications to Section 303.04. The material change was in tracking the revised code on language that has to be provided to employees as far as describing unclassified service. The question was whether the language should be prescribed by the Director of Human Resources or by the Personnel Review Commission. And what we proposed, and that has been accepted by the administration, was that we collaborate, that the Director of Human Resources and the Personnel Review Commission collaborate to develop and provide each appointing authority with a general written description of the nature of employment in the unclassified civil service that shall be provided to employees under this section. So rather than have one or the other do the language, we're going to attempt to collaborate to come up with a language that will be shared with the employees. So those are the only two changes to the ordinance from what was presented in October.
And all the, Councilman Miller, and to the committee, all of the red language on the proposed substitute is a combination of all the changes that have occurred up to this point. The last, as Mr. Hannon stated, the only two basically that are new that was holding this up is the two he stated today. So I believe it's Mike King, they tried to work and get as much into this document so we could kind of have a full face value of all the changes that have occurred. There may be some that were missed, and so that's why we're going to still stick with 3 full readings, so both sides can make sure that everything will be in the final document that we've discussed up until this point. Councilwoman Brown.
I just wanted to get clarification. We changed the date from 45 to 60 days, but it does also point out, unless extended by a formal resolution of council, the council shall have not more. So we can still go beyond the 60 days if we have a resolution. Is that how
Yeah.
that reads? Okay, all right, thank you.
And that 60 days will line us up across the board. Pretty much everything in our charter and our code is related to the 60-day review, so that'll tidy that up. And I think I need to, Amy or Charles can, since this was new and this was the sticking point, I don't know if I'm clear on it, the 303.04, the appointing authorities. Are authorized to hire employees into the classified and unclassified service. You stated that both of you have decided that you will both collaborate on that.
Madam Chair, if I may, the collaboration is not so much on that, but it's the last sentence of this section, that they shall collaborate to develop and provide each appointing authority with a general written description of the nature of employment in the unclassified civil service that shall be provided to employees under this section when they are hired.
Okay, thank you. So that just didn't make sense. Any questions from the committee in regards to this? Councilman Janana.
You know, I'm just, when we say collaborate, it's gonna be one person and the other. What happens if they can't agree?
Well, we're hoping that with, good faith efforts on behalf of each party, that we'll be able to just come up with a general description of unclassified service. A lot of it is drawn from the Ohio Revised Code, which describes the nature of unclassified service. So we anticipate that there's probably not going to be much area for disagreement, but if there is a need for consultation, it's something that perhaps it might be appropriate to come before this committee to explore.
Okay, so it isn't really a matter of principles more than a matter of law?
I think that's right.
Okay, because on principles, I could see two people not standing their ground on their principles and not being able to collaborate. But if it's based on law, I think it's reasonable.
And the way
Or
it,
more likely reasonable.
from the way it stands, once this ordinance is voted on, I believe on December 8th, currently we'll have the ARB rules that can be, for the codification, will go to the ARB rules, will all go and get codified. This ordinance basically states that it will go to council, the same as the ARB. So on both sides, all the rules or any proposed changes must come before council. So the initial of this was so they wouldn't be up under the ARB, but that they would still have an oversight, which is county council. So I'm glad for this resolution finally. It's been long coming. I don't have any further questions in
I
regards
have
to.
one.
Okay, Councilman Miller, and since it is an ordinance, I know that we've worked on it a long time, but ordinance, my rule of thumb is I like it to go 3 readings, and that way that'll give you guys some additional time to make sure that all the language has been put into place and nobody missed anything. I commend the Personnel Review Commission as well as the Law Department. You've done some outstanding work, and I will turn it over to Councilman Miller.
Yes, I'd like to ask of our ARB representative, Mike King. Am I correct that the way the legislation still reads that the rules go through the council, but then after they get approved by council, they then get to the administrative code, and if so, can you explain exactly how that happens?
Certainly, Michael King, council staff. So how the ordinance is drafted is that once council completes its review and approves the rules, then basically the clerk is instructed to certify the approved rules to the clerk of the Administrative Rules Board for codification in the administrative code. So at the end of the day, the rules will be put into the same code as all of the rest of the administrative rules of the county. It's just the process of how it gets there. It doesn't go back to the ARB for another set of review and approval. That's all done in council. It's just that the codification it's more just a procedural matter.
Understood. Okay. And Madam Chair, if I'm correct, we had a motion and a second to accept the substitute, but we did not vote on that yet, so that would be next. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, since we have a first and a second on the proposed substitute, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we have the proposed substitute in front of us. Amy, you're representing the Law Department today. Is there anything that you would like to share?
No, I think Charlie covered everything.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, and so we will, if we can have a motion if there's no further questions. Vice Chair, anything? All right. Can we have a motion to move the proposed substitute as amended to the full council for second reading?
So moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Since there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good work, good work.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilman Miller.
I would like to ask to have my name added.
All right. Does any other council members feel that way? Adding name? This has been a long journey. All right, Germana? Full committee. It's outstanding work, outstanding work. And I do want to commend PRC. They do a phenomenal job, as well as the Law Department, and I just thought this was needed. I'm glad it's over and everyone is happy and we're all looking and working together. Yes.
I just have one other comment, and I had this thought about the budget agreement, where originally the council and the administration were pretty far apart, and we had this too, where originally the law department and the PRC were pretty far apart. But it's been my experience that when people come together with the right frame of mind and are willing to work together and are willing to take each other's needs and concerns into account, there's very few problems that can't be solved. It's just a matter of the right approach and the willingness to work together.
Yes. It's agreed across the board. So without any further ado, let's move on to the agenda. The presentation, like I stated before, will not be done due to illness from Mr. Glassburn. Any miscellaneous business? Just to keep everyone on board, we may have to, our next Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee is looking to be held on December 1st, and time may be moved up to 9 o'clock, so stay abreast to your emails. I should know pretty much next week. When Chris gets back, he's have some appointments, as well as there's some conversations in regards to stop-loss insurance, some end-of-the-year health benefits. There's a couple of meetings with the executive on that and the law department. So we have a full agenda, and I don't know if Councilman Gallagher will have a committee or not, so we may float up to 9 o'clock to accommodate for for him at 1 o'clock. If not, I'd rather stay 10 o'clock. So just. It is? Okay. Do you hear that, Gene? All right, so that's out there. Any other public comment?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, meeting is adjourned. You hear that, Gene?